When I was a younger boy, I didn't really understand the world, and for the most part, nor do I now. But I used to think that there was a certain way of living, meaning that there are certain things that we humans do at a particular age we are in. For example, you, when you grow up, the more that you grow up, the more stages you have to go through. Like kindergarten. You are there, you need to behave, you need to learn some things, right? Right after that, school. Right after that, junior high school. Right after that, high school. And then college, if you're really interested into education or whatever. And when you finish that as well, you're going out to the world where everyone is waiting for you and your awesome knowledge. Well, you're going out to work, and then you probably start thinking for yourself, where did so many years gone by when we're much likely to be 40, you know? And the thing is that nowadays is when we ask this the most, when we are thinking that, you know what, this is sound a bit of a fraudulent process. It's much more fair for us to get to choose how we want to live and what we want, and whether or not this is right or wrong, we haven't really questioned this ever. And so right now I'm hopeful that most people are basically now thinking about this stuff. Because even though we're in the most chaotic times ever, at the same time we live in the most opportunity ever, at least when you're working online and do your own thing. Basically, anyone can do their own thing. Just like me, who tries to be a philosopher, but it's a joke. Who knows what's gonna happen, but anyways, even a guy just like me who just have some silly old stupid ideas. And I say, let's just make an attempt to make some videos and talk about the things that I want. Eventually, who knows, may as well meet other people who are interested in the same things. And so, I do not know where this is going, and I don't honestly know what's going to happen beyond that the more I continue. But the thing is, there is a promise to myself I want to keep more than anything else. And I suspect that most people are going to agree with this. And basically that is to do things that you find more suitable to yourself. And there are some obstacles to that, not many, I suspect. But I can say that most people, if they really think for themselves what they want in a room by their own, and just think for themselves, they can find more than enough evidence for themselves, what triggers them, what they really love, what they really do not like of doing, and so on. And I'm saying this again because we have some finite time here in the form that we have right now as humans, right? And there are only many things that you can do once in a lifetime maybe, and maybe not. There are many things that you can do today, right? Many things that you can feel alive, either study intensely and educate yourself on a certain topic, be in general educated about your country, about your culture, about your past, about history in general. You can be more educated on athletics and be more gymnastic than ever, basically. And we have insane amount of information available to us. And for some reason at the same time, I see people basically either dumping themselves out and giving up on themselves because things are getting either too out of control, I should say, out of hand, too crazy, globally in a way. With all the stuff been going on, it's logical for some, but at the same time, the people of Gen Z are the ones who have questioned for example, 9 to 5 narrative more than anybody else, 40 hours a week. And at the same time, we have a particular interest into how we care. So, we can care about a certain amount of things. At the same time, we want to care about our lives and what we are going to do with it. And when things are getting too heavy, may as well feel everyone. We may as well feel overwhelming by everything that's happening around us. So at the same time, we're supposed to do what? To fix the world's issues, and at the same time make a living out of ourselves and say, we had a complete blast, and whatever comes up. Basically be the rebels that switches everything apart, switches everything completely the other way around. And I believe I see a lot of people basically giving up on themselves and everything else around them because life is getting too heavy and there's no other choice for us but just either accept that the world's gonna get even more dark than it was before years ago, and either just don't give a damn and do whatever the hell you want because it's gonna end anyways. And so what I have in my mind basically now is everyone who had a vision, who thought that life, may as well be cruel and ugly and insufferable. But there are sometimes very small amount of times that life is so damn worth it. You just don't want to forget about anything at this point and continue living the moment again and again, that same moment. And so I think that most people are also enamored in a way with nostalgia and with the beautiful moments that were in the past when we were younger. And it's a weird time to live in, but it's keep working on someone's own ambitions and desires for whatever they really wish. And because if there are things that people find important, they're going to be the things that those things make them feel more alive. For example, a hobby. I'm, for example, a bit crazy about tennis these days and a little bit of calisthenics. And at the same time, the only thing I would like to do is basically gaining some information, reading about the things that I'm interested in and I'm in love with, and sharing here with a camera. For example, I've fallen in love with the Eastern ways of living, the slow way of living, the present and only present time to live moments. The forget about planning, forget about what's gonna happen, forget about even what happened before. Forget everything, just now. I even love how all of this culture from the, let's say, Eastern side of the earth, Eastern philosophy, Eastern side, basically have also great culture and philosophies that embody people who are truly healthy and happy, and they're truly either satisfied with life, extremely wise, and they're basically inspiration to the today Western world that is constantly on grinding and working on things. And so the person who can basically relax and be here and now, are the ones that win the most. That they realize that there is me, and I'm here feeling myself and my body and my mind, and doing the things that I want, or just being a person who just chills, knowing that I'm present enough, and that by itself makes it so damn worthwhile. I'm able to think for myself, I'm able to make ideas and art and all those stuff. And so, if those things, art, peace, all those stuff, are worth protecting, let alone are worth making you live, right? If you do not have those things, you don't really have access to the now, which is all there is. Then, if any struggle humanity faces right now would be the complete peace out of this so tired, burned out world that it is constantly for grinding, constantly for validation from others, how great the status that person has. What a great role I played. And eventually, when someone really gets that kind of glory and famous status, many people are not really satisfied with that and saying, is that why I tried? Is that why I worked? Is that why I studied, let's say? And most people can find themselves in the most nostalgic moment they can remember. For example, when you play an old game, when you meet a person that you had to talk to with for years, a very old co-student, I should say. So all those things basically are reminders that life has become more serious than ever, and that life eventually ends. So when people turn into nostalgia, when people start basically having their own vision of life, what there is, whatever there is, and basically saying, yeah, that doesn't seem to be very realistic, they may as well give up. What other alternatives someone can have? Well, that could be to just never give up, because it's worth it regardless. You never know until you do it. And after that, you have at least learned something. You have at least learned a skill, and you have managed to make a dream true. But also, another thing that's worth trying fighting for, basically, is the peace and presence I mentioned before. In a world with constant consumption and completely unpredictable future, we don't really know what's going to happen today or tomorrow. And at the same time, it's just so sad for us young people to just give up. And so that's also what's keeping me making these videos, regardless. I don't have much audience, I don't have much people watching me. But it is more than enough for me to just make an attempt, at least try, and say, you know what, make your own case. At least try. At least try. You don't have to make your dreams visible and real the moment that you think of them. But it can be a great start. So, if anyone has not access to presence, right here, right now, basically having access to notice your own breath when you breathe in and then breathe out. Hold. That by itself may as well freeze time entirely, especially in your head. You may as well have your own hand, reality itself, going with that kind of speed. But the brain is such a convoluted, such a complicated part of our lives, and such an organ in general. I can make that thing may as well go extremely much more fast, and have complete accelerations into how pain and fear basically manifest themselves into our lives. So, life, for us to get better and more meaningful, basically comes from us. Logical. And regardless, if anyone just is arrogantly delusional and complete convicted in what they want to live or how they want to live, I believe that this is a better choice or even thought to have, instead of just seeing all the chaos we have outside and say, okay, this is reality, whatever that is. Because in the end, the only thing that matters is basically how we lived. If we have any memories for us to remember, if we have any relationships, meaningful relationships, friends and family, sexual partners, and children, possibly. And so, if there is one thing that you know fills you up, that should be the number one priority. But because things are getting out of hand and extremely unsteady moments, it's safe to assume that you gotta at least try. My opinion would be that. And so, if you don't have any vision, if you just want a peaceful life, if you just want to exist and enjoy your existence, enjoy your company, enjoy do your own thing by yourself, and just let the world be the way it wants to be, the greatest thing you could possibly offer to yourself are essentially tools and exercises for having access to deeper, stronger presence, and feel that you are here. Feel that you're here, that you were born and you're here. And while you're here, and basically try to do things that fill you up, like drawing, for example. Who knows? Like playing a particular game of yours. The things that make you feel alive are worth doing it, because they make life more sufferable. If there is any reason for anyone to live, it will be because we can tolerate it and because the pain is worth it for the rewards that are behind the vision of a man or a person in general. It all comes down to presence. Basically, if you take a huge breath in your nose, hold it and then leave it out, and you can do it, you may as well do this a few times. You can feel what Thich Nhat Hanh basically says, a Buddhist monk, is the energy of consciousness. And that energy is basically a healing energy to your wounds in your soul, to your even physical wounds. You basically are taking care of the pain and the unfortunate feelings, the painful feelings that you may as well feel: desperation, pain, anger, all those stuff, and sadness. And so a promise that anyone needs to keep to themselves, at least, is be true to yourself. And be honest to yourself more than anything else. Forget everybody else. They have work to do on their own. The ones who basically judge the most and talk the most are the ones who have done absolutely no work on this. And they just have the sense of superiority that you who think this is less than me who doesn't think that. Meanwhile, at the same time, that person is hiding everything from everyone and haven't done any sort of work of soul searching or any spiritual work that makes you really conscious, really alive. So, how do you keep to yourself true? How are you true to yourself? Well, you must allow yourself a small amount of spontaneity, meaning that there are going to be some times in your life when you're going to have access to yourself for you, to yourself only, and basically act however you want to act. Meaning that when we as humans basically interact with each other, I need to speak to you in a certain way for you to understand what I'm saying, and I have to say that in a certain way. Right now I'm using the English language to make a use of some words that make sense to most people who understand the same language. And the order that I'm using, the line I'm saying every word in that particular order makes a particular sense, meaning. Makes some particular sense, it makes a certain meaning. So, meaning is constructional. Meaning is structural. instruction. And so, if anyone has a meaning in their life, basically is made by them, almost exclusively. Someone from here and there may as well help get you more of this experience and help you, basically. But the thing is that words have meaning, and meaning in life is determined by the quality of life a person chooses to have. And that is determined basically from the honesty that you decide for yourself. You can decide to be dishonest with yourself, and that is the thing that most people basically resents themselves for. They regret following the rules exactly how they were told. And I think this is the thing that we as youngsters see more clearly, more than other generations perhaps. It's sad, yet at the same time, it's just a typical way of living that used to work. Now it doesn't work anymore. Now we're in complete chaos and nobody knows anything, except for the top, you know who. So, make a plan. Start doing things that you love. Enjoy life right here, right now. If you don't have anything, you can do both when you find your favorite hobby to deal with, to spend time with, or your favorite people to hang out with. And this experience that we call life basically is never really satisfied. It's never really filled. It's never ending if you have reasons to completely refill the sense of energy that you feel in this world, in this realm. Because someone may as well runs out of energy, right? A person may as well loves to talk and be surrounded with people that fills them with energy, basically. They feel energized. Yet at the same time, that same person may as well be so much around people they feel completely drained out because they have to be socially correct in a way, to be smiling, to be charming, to making stupid jokes and all that stuff. And so I wouldn't say that life doesn't have its own cruelties and painful moments, because it absolutely does. The thing is, if those things are legit, and if those things are any of value to the person who basically living them. If there are painful moments, those moments may as well be worthy of teaching that person something, right? But if they just exist in life, it makes sense to just endure them for the sake of something greater, the sake of something that can make more than enough for it. And so, being yourself in the way that you decide for you to be yourself can turn out to be painful and lonely, I might add. But I think it's worth it. You're going to see for yourself if you really like your own company, if you really like yourself. It's worth it if you believe that this way is the way it was meant to go. And perfectionist nonsense should go the other way around, should go to hell, because they only hold you back, because you're supposed to be perfect in other people's eyes and not disappoint ever anyone, even if you haven't done anything particularly wrong. For example, you decide to do something that many other people may as well disagree. Leave them behind. No one really cares in the end. It matters more for you to be more real, and relationships that follow and decide that kind of personality trait and that kind of boldness is the thing that are the traits that basically attract people that really care about that. And so I think I'm going to end this here for the time being. Your only promise and the most powerful thing you can say to yourself is that you want an honest and open-minded life that is open to many other considerations, such as painful moments and beautiful parties and meaningful conversation with others. All that because you just decided, you know what, let's go for it. That's how I feel like it going or doing. So I have the curiosity to do it. And just like a small child that finds this entire world completely wonderful and gorgeous and has this beautiful, how should I say this? Thirst for life. It is because of the wonder. We need to remember to make life wonderful again. That is what I have to say, for the most part. And that can only happen if you align with that wonderfulness and you realize yourself being honest. Not that I'm calling you liars or anything, just how would you like to spend time on this earth, even if things don't seem to go very well, regardless. Things always have gone wrong. But the thing is that not always good and wonderful and glorified things happened in the same way that bad things happened. So that's another reason for you to keep your word and say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to do things I'm interested in and love this world and love and forgive myself if I have done things that I believe I shouldn't have done, and accept people for what they are and how they accept me. And that should be more than enough to make relationships work. And that can be the start. The ending may as well be a never-ending relationships that you're always happy and honest with each other, and you have a sense of presence that most people will never going to attain, because you decide to look inwards. And when you look inwards, you are connected with everything else around you. The world is a magical place. And the reason I believe we don't say this as much is because the world has gone at the same time extremely mad with our presence as humans. And so, give yourself some permission to relax and be thankful and happy with everything around you. And give yourself space to breathe. Take a moment and make some breaths. You're going to feel your veins in your head to pumping a little bit more. And it's gonna be worth it. So damn worth it. So that's gonna be my video for today. I hope you like it. You're more than welcome to tell me what you think. Please leave me a like if you really liked it. It really helps a lot. And I'll see you next time, my friends. Thank you and goodbye.